I'm not here as a medical doctor. I'm going to make that very clear. I'm here as an organizational leader and all the layers that are involved, and kind of a different approach and kind of some of the different thinking that is involved that a lot of which you may have heard, but I'm just putting into words here. And so first things first, exactly what it is up there. I won't read it to you, but I will tell you it's just taking the coronavirus much further than what is commonly circulated among humans that cause mild illness and the common cold. It's something far more serious, and we're well aware of that. And then what is RBSD doing? We're doing a lot, and I just want to make that very clear. Anybody who thinks otherwise, they're wrong. And so I want to make that clear. We have the best staff in town, best staff in the South Bay throughout, that's hustling to really keep our facilities clean. I would hope that the public would already have seen, especially our community, how well we maintain our facilities through our maintenance and operation team, Janet, her team, now Annette, and with Dr. Wesley's support, and the entire Fred, Laura, Gallardo, Franco, and the entire team. They just have always maintained our facilities as if they were their own. Now we're taking it clearly a step further in the sanitizing and cleaning of high-touch areas, and I think everybody's well aware of that. If you haven't seen our custodians doing that, trust me, they are doing it more now than they ever have, more often, more thoroughly, using the best cleaners, and we've certainly gone out of our way to ensure that we have plenty of liquids and the appropriate liquids on hand for now and for the future. Obviously, everybody knows about the hand washing. We've been clear about that. Staff, students are well aware. We have the piece that we're starting to see, at least with a couple staff members, where if you're sick, stay home, and stay home for at least, until your symptoms are gone for at least 24 hours. We've been very clear about that. I think all school districts have been very clear about this. And there's just layers to this that anybody can go on any of the websites I'll be showing you in a little bit to just really just take the experts' advice on what and how to do it and how often to do it, and we're absolutely doing that. And for now, and it says at this time, we're continuing with regularly scheduled events, school events. That's a day-to-day piece. I get asked every day just to make sure by our staff members, are we allowed to? And my line is, for now, yes. That can change, but for right now, we are business as usual. Communication. Obviously, we want to, the first two bullets, if you know anything about me, the second bullet is very important to me. I will tell you, it's the most frustrating part of this job, and it's been for the last 24 hours for me as well. Avoiding, nonsense, misinformation, and blatant disregard for the truth. And so what I would tell you, I ask everybody in this room and anybody listening to this, please vet your information. We want to secure facts, data, and expert advice. That absolutely should be who is guiding us and what is guiding us. One of the things that the unintended consequence of this coronavirus context, if you will, is I've spoken more with our local superintendents than I have in my entire life. And it's great, and we share in the frustration of misinformation. We share in the frustration of not having a consistent message throughout the state and learning from one another. But that being said, I think what it does is, are you doing this? Have you done this? Have you considered this? Send me your letter. Let me see your letter. And I think that's important. We've also, I've reached out to all of our association leaders to, continue the conversation, questions, anything they have, I think is really important. Connecting with, I saw Sandy yesterday. Sandy was here, and I made it clear to her. Obviously, she's part of this communication process. She and her our PTA leaders, and then continuing to share information with our stakeholders, obviously. But what I want to, probably one of the takeaways for me that I would hope you all would have. We don't get much more information than anybody else does. There's no special superintendent or school district information regarding the coronavirus that's different than necessarily anything you're getting. And I hope Mike we're lucky enough to hear from Mike today, who's on the front line at LAX. I think that's some of the best information I've heard is from Mike Christensen, in fact. Okay. Receiving alerts, information, and directions from, these are the folks that are really guiding us and others, and we look to them, and I'll give you a quote at the end from the LA County Department of Health, which I think is salient, at least in this presentation. But we really are relying on these experts, if you will, to guide us in this process. And I would say any school district in the state of California, all 1,000 of them would say the same thing. Looking to their county, their local county folks. Context. I call this South Bay's osmosis culture communication, just something I made up long ago. There is this thing called South Bay. We are Redondo Beach, but the lines that separate Manhattan from Redondo to Hermosa to Lawndale to Hawthorne to PB, they're broken lines. And so we're part of a greater body. Even the 405 we cross and we listen and we learn from our friends in Lawndale and Lenox and Hawthorne. And as well as Palos Verdes, Manhattan, Hermosa, and Torrance, and everyone else. And so that is good, but I'd also argue sometimes it's bad because some of the all the misinformation I've received regarding our alleged school closures have been from other communities within this osmosis range. And so I will tell you, it is frustrating, but it goes to show you, as much as we're a smaller, community of sorts in Redondo Beach, we're also a part of something larger, which is the greater South Bay, and then obviously LA County. Every school district is different, and I want to make this very clear. Every superintendent is different, every board is different, and everyone's going to move forward with this process a little differently based on their context, based on the information, the factual information in their community, and what's best for their community, and using the best information that you have on hand in that moment to make the best decision at that time. There is no one-size-fits-all approach, and we're learning that fast. And I just want to remind people at this time, the travel warning per the Center for Disease Control is those 5 countries. And so I just want to emphasize that, unless there's been additional countries that I'm unaware of. And agility is not winging it. I just want to make sure you understand when I say agility, it's just you have to bob and weave as this moves along. And so as much as we are creating and created a strong draft of a contingency plan, it will change. It absolutely will change. It will change if we have to use it. It will change as we prepare for the worst case scenario. But it absolutely goes to show you, as each and every piece of evidence and experience comes to us, we'll have to change and learn from the experiences that didn't go so well. And then I do want to share with you very clearly, I want to be crystal clear about this. Senior staff, with input from others, have been developing a contingency plan, the what-if, alternative means of delivering instruction. There is a very strong piece in there about how to communicate, and there's a layer that's still evolving because there are multiple layers to alternative instructional plans and options. You'll be receiving it in your Friday update. I'll be sharing it with the principals as this evolves and sharing it with appropriate stakeholders. We are as ready as we can be. One thing I do want to share with you is I can assure you whatever this plan is already going to evolve within a week based on the experiences from other school districts. Because as school districts close, some reopen, some don't close. Maybe there's just a quarantine of a particular school site as opposed to an entire district. This is going to evolve, and we're going to learn from those experiences and be better for it. Lots of respect and understanding and care for the districts that have gone before us, because I think they're really in a tough spot. They're obviously going to be vigilant in protecting their community and making the right decision based on the best information they have. The piece that I want to share is what makes us probably advantageous in this situation is our people. I say it over and over again, our people are the best, and I think you should feel great about having the people we have on the front line, in the schools, in the classrooms, the support we get from parents. But the people will make the difference, not necessarily the plan. Learnings. Again, we're going to learn from our experienced districts. I think that's very helpful to us, and I'd be willing to put money on this. What District A does today won't be what District B does in a week. I think that will prove to be 100% accurate. CDE has provided an advisory regarding ADA, and I want to make this clear. We received, Janet, Annette, received an advisory that basically said for school closures, it's highly likely, I don't want to say absolute, that schools will be reimbursed for lost ADA. And I think there's an assurance there. There obviously will be a form to fill out and what have you, but we're keenly aware of that. Remaining calm, proactive, all parts of who we are to begin with. Communicate appropriately. You know, I tell you, it's a balance. You got folks out there that are hypersensitive about this, and you have folks out there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this later, that really have a different feeling and are not worried at all. And so it is a delicate balance, and so trust your team. I think that's really important. And the piece that I wanted to share, and some of you have heard this from me before, but years ago, 9, 10 years ago, we had 2 or 3 weeks of straight 90, 100-degree temperature. And it was brutal. I mean, if you were a teacher and you were, in a class of 30 or more, any amount of kids, classrooms were in the high 80s. It was difficult to teach. Kids didn't necessarily want to learn. A lot of sweat going on. A school district, local school district in the South Bay, decided to call a hot day and basically excuse kids early. When that communication was coming out, and I say this very sincerely, I received more emails and more phone calls directly to me than I've ever received, except for a personnel decision or a personnel issue, because parents were concerned mostly because they were the inability for them to get home to their elementary child because they worked. They may have had a job that was an hourly wage job. They weren't in a position to come home and be with their child. The second thing is they didn't have air conditioning in their home, which is what a lot of people expressed to me. And so my point to you would be, in this experience that I had, is Redondo Beach, it doesn't, there's this assumption that everybody, has maybe not everybody, but a lot of folks have one income earners, and so there's somebody at home with kids when they get home and when they leave for school. That's just not the case. And so we do need to be mindful that families, or parents in particular, there are parents in our community that are unable to make it home for the fact they need to earn money to pay their rent or pay their mortgage or what have you. And so I just think whatever we do, whether it's, whatever the next step is, I think we need to be mindful that we have parents here that have elementary kids that quite frankly won't be home with their children. And I understand why. And I just remind you, that's something that is in my head moving forward. That being said, we will follow the guidelines and the direction of our local experts, LA County Office of Health, CDC, and others who would likely be the folks that would be giving us direction should the worst case scenario occur. And so I just want everyone to know that it's not as easy of a decision as sometimes people think, and I'm very aware of that. So, by the way, all these folks here that you're seeing, the maintenance and operation team, as well as grounds crew, you see Nikki in the picture as well, and of course our custodians. This was on a professional development experience, correct, Dr. Wesley? And Ricardo nicely put up in there that these are our heroes and rock stars, as Lily likes to use often. They are our rock stars. And so they are doing their best to do the proactive work, to do the double sanitation, to do what is necessary for the high-touch areas to really create the cleanest environment for our kids and staff. And I really want to emphasize, and staff. And then this last line really caught me. Of all the things I've read in the last week or two, it's one of the few times I'm going to read to you. It just says, from the LA County Department of Public Health. At this time, there's no immediate threat to the general public and no special precautions are required. LA County residents, students, workers, and visitors are encouraged to engage in the regular activities and practice good public health hygiene, as this is the height of flu season across the country. This is not to soften the experiences that we're having now. It's just an understanding that we need to move forward. We need to be mindful of everything that is in front of us, but do our best to remain calm and put forward the best program possible for our kids and our staff and our community. And so with that, if you have any questions or comments, we are here for you.